once payment has been made by the producer, whether the composer can keep claiming royalty. Are these celebrities not rich enough, and why are they asking for more money?
Then that is a form of violation of what is known as moral rights under the Copyright Act.
Tyagaraja Swami has been abused adequately.
On the question of Tyagaraja's Kirtanas and
with respect to Mr. Ilayaraja claiming royalty for his tunes and restricting Mr. SPB not to sing songs composed by him in any public forum. If it is so, he has to be compensated. My question is, once payment has been made by the producer, whether the composer can keep claiming royalty. Now, recently another controversy happening in dance field about songs and talams composed by yesteryear gurus and their legal heirs claiming rights. Is there any solution for these kinds of issues? In fact, Mr. Ilayaraja's brother Gangayamaran, once when he was interviewed, he actually said, what will happen if yesteryear Mahans like Sri Tyagaraja's Kirtanams were coming under this IP and copyright, and if their ancestors, their successors start claiming about their royalty. Right. So even his brother was not in the view of what Mr. Ilayaraja was asking, and in fact, people are getting confused with what is happening in US and what is happening in India. So I would like you to clarify on these issues.
On the question of Tyagaraja's Kirtanas and copyright over his work, I had the opportunity to write on this particular issue, I think between 2012 and 2013. There's an article that I've written which is publicly available. Now, the first point is, there is a specific term or a life for a form of IP right. Now, when it comes to the Copyright Act, the question is, when did the copyright in Tyagaraja's Kirtis effectively end? Okay. Therefore, the question would be, what was the applicable period of duration for copyright over his works? Now, given that at least a couple of centuries have passed since the Samadhi of the great saint, okay, there is no form of, or there is no term under the Copyright Act under which his legal heirs can assert rights over his works under the umbrella of the Copyright Act. Okay, because it is lifetime of the author with either 60 plus 60 or 70 years. Now, even if you take the period of demise of Tyagaraja, I think he passed away sometime in the late 18th century or the mid 18th century, to the best of my understanding. If that is the case, you add 60 or 70 years to that, even then there is no way that anybody in the 21st century can hope to assert any form of copyright with respect to Tyagaraja's Kirtis. However, if somebody wants to use his work without attributing him or without saying that this is Tyagaraja's work, then that is a form of violation of what is known as moral rights under the Copyright Act. So even though there is no duty to pay a license fee to the heirs of Tyagaraja's successors, they certainly have the right to say, or any person has the right to say, according to me, that the work which belongs to such a noted saint must be attributed, and people must highlight the fact that they have sourced it from this source. So apart from the question of license fee, the central issue which arises from Copyright Act is the issue of attribution, is the question of acknowledgement and crediting. So if somebody fails to perform that particular legal duty, then you still have a cause of action against that person for failing to respect the moral rights of the author or the owner. Okay, that's one. Second, I'm not a trained student of history, so I don't know whether Tyagaraja himself owned the rights over his Kirtis, because what if he was performing it or he had composed it on commission or for somebody else? Okay, that is a history that I'm not aware of. Because the moment that also comes into existence, while Tyagaraja's legal heirs can continue to assert moral rights, perhaps copyright never vested in him in the first place, because he may have actually done it for somebody else, because then it becomes work for hire or work, let's say contract of service, a contract for service. Therefore, the principles under section 17 of the Copyright Act will immediately kick in. That's point number one. Now, coming to the issue of the controversy between the music maestro Sri Ilayaraja and SPB, the one thing that you have to realize is the composer is paid by the producer only for using that music as part of the film, as part of a cinematograph film. And the moment that work is used independent of that particular medium, and it is performed on radio or it is performed in a live show for which somebody charges money and somebody is paid for, and somebody sells tickets and somebody pays for that particular ticket, okay, then clearly there is a commercial element involved. And most importantly, the transaction that took place for the movie is no more applicable to this. So that is precisely the reason why you have the Copyright Amendment Act, which effectively protects the rights of music composers, the rights of lyricists, and all these artists when their works are performed outside the four corners of a movie. So if the song is played as part of a movie which is shown on television where the movie is again being aired or broadcasted, then there is no problem at all because it's the entire movie that is being shown. But if the song is removed from that movie, or it is played separately, or it is performed separately, then clearly nobody can say that you have already been paid once, therefore you have no right to assert these rights against me at all. That's not how it works. Second, I think this is a slightly cultural issue. There is a decent chance that intellectual property rights, as we understand it today, is relatively new, and therefore there is a lack of awareness even among members of the performing fraternity or the artist fraternity, which is why these kind of questions arise. However, any average student of intellectual property rights will tell you that while Ilaiyaraaja may have offended certain sentiments merely because everybody sees Ilaiyaraaja and SPB as friends, what he was asking for was fairly arguable within the law, and he was not asking for something that was either unreasonable or illegal or unlawful. Therefore, I think we must separate our personal emotions from the strictly legal question raised by Ilaiyaraaja with respect to remuneration or with respect to the basic question of consent. Can you perform something without my consent?
Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Mr. Sai. One more thing which I would like to add here is people get always emotional when these kind of celebrities start asking money. They think, are these celebrities not rich enough, and why are they asking for more money? In fact, one more thing is whatever may be the reasons, all those people who are inside this film industry are themselves talking bad mouth about Maestro, Mr. Ilaiyaraaja.
Right.
So whatever Mr. Ilaiyaraaja is asking is 100% correct as per the laws. People
Correct.
are always go emotional and do not consider the legal aspects of it.
Right.
The second one is Tyagaraja Swami has been abused adequately of late by so many celebrities,
Right.
and I think he would have performed only out of sheer bhakti and love for the God, and not
Right.
for any personal or monetary benefits.
Right.